Up next on The Reveal.
This is a department that is not necessarily following the rules and is kind of made up of a lot of rogue actors.
A troubled Georgia police department is under investigation following the murder of a black jogger.
There are times when I just say, I'm sorry, this has got to be hard.
A Reveal investigation that ends up the center of a state Supreme Court case.
Your resistance is alarming.
And the painful reality of sheltering at home.
You don't really know how serious it is until somebody says, we're going to work on saving your life.
From our Midtown studios in Atlanta, The Reveal begins now with our multi-Emmy and National Mural Award-winning team of investigators.
Welcome to The Reveal. I'm Faith Abube. The tragic deaths of Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd have ignited a worldwide crusade for change. And one of the main issues is over law enforcement and how to reform it. In Glynn County, the police department made no arrest in Arbery's fatal shooting. And we found that same department was once described by a grand jury as having an ongoing culture of cover-up. Here are the troubling details our Reveal investigation uncovered about the agency and its police officers. The first time Ahmaud Arbery's mother learned someone had killed her son, it was the Glynn County police officer on the other end of her cell phone.
He went on to say that Ahmaud had been involved in a burglary. And in the midst of the burglary, Ahmaud was confronted by the homeowner. And during that confrontation, there was a tussle over the handgun, and Ahmaud was shot and killed.
Wanda Cooper says she knew her son's character, but she also did not question what the investigator was telling her.
Because the way that I lived is if authority, they came and told you anything, you didn't question that.
But months later, that version of the story doesn't match an official police report and the multiple videos surrounding the deadly shooting.
That the video directly contradicted every statement made to this family.
The case has put the troubled police department in the spotlight. The Reveal has uncovered an internal investigation report, grand jury findings, and lawsuits against the department alleging corruption, a culture of cover-up, and abuse of power. The documents also allege false statements, tampering with evidence, influencing or intimidating witnesses, hindering arrest of one of their own, and destroying or not properly maintaining public records.
This is a department that is not necessarily following the rules and is kind of made up of a lot of rogue actors.
Darren Penn is an Atlanta attorney representing a woman suing the Glynn County Police Department for allegedly mishandling her daughter's domestic violence case. That daughter was married to a police officer in the same department.
They're going through a divorce.
He is not allowed in my house. This is not his house.
Mr. Corey Sasser, an incredibly violent and out of control police officer for the Glynn County Police Department.
The former Glynn County police officer killed his estranged wife and another man before turning the gun on himself in 2018. Penn says the officer's wife complained to the department repeatedly, but they failed to arrest the officer when it mattered, and he thinks that parallels what's happened in the Arbery case.
Just the overall hesitancy to do anything about it, to investigate them, to make any kind of arrests, to actually, at the end of the day, protect the public.
In February, 5 days after the Ahmaud Arbery shooting, the Glynn County police chief and 3 high-ranking police officers were all indicted on multiple criminal charges. They include having sex with confidential informants, violation of oath of office, influencing a witness, and a criminal attempt to commit a felony. Their case is related to a disbanded drug task force. A grand jury report also concluded, quote, there is an ongoing culture of cover-up, failure to supervise, abuse of power, and lack of accountability within the administration of the Glynn County Police Department.
It paints a very troubling picture of a police department that is not following procedures.
The department now has a new interim chief, and its former officer and DA investigator Gregory McMichael is now facing murder charges with his son, Travis McMichael.
Justice for all.
Public outcry has pushed the Arbery case into new hands, those of a special prosecutor in Cobb County, the DOJ, and the GBI.
And we are hopeful that that investigation will actually do a lot more than the original investigation to uncover the truth.
The judge in this case has decided the 3 men who have now been charged can face trial. The DA, though, will still have to present this case to a grand jury.
Up next on The Reveal.
If you think about mental illness and how it can spiral and get out of control, these are huge, huge consequences.
Consumer fraud or wrongful birth. A Georgia family's case is argued before the state Supreme Court.
Starting a family is one of the most exciting and emotional decisions for a couple, but it's not always easy. Just ask a Peachtree City family now suing a Georgia sperm bank, accusing it of false advertising and negligence. The Normans aren't the first to take Zytex to court over concerns about the sperm they received, but they are the first to make it to the state Supreme Court. A game of basketball helps ease the nerves. It's not every 17-year-old that ends up in the center of a state Supreme Court case.
There are times when I just say, I'm sorry, this has got to be hard.
The teen, who we've agreed to call John to protect his privacy, is one of the first kids born using the sperm of donor 9623. Sperm his mom, Wendy Norman, thought belonged to a college graduate with a clean medical history.
That's dishonesty. That's, bad business.
I don't believe that what you do...
Because donor 9623 did not have a college degree. He had been arrested for burglary and been diagnosed bipolar with schizoaffective disorder, a condition that can be hereditary.
If you think about mental illness and how it can spiral and get out of control if it's not caught, these are huge, huge consequences.
At issue is whether selling misrepresented sperm counts as consumer fraud or wrongful birth, a term that came out of a 1990 court case that ruled you can't sue for failure to be notified your child may be born with a defect. It is a position several of the Supreme Court justices continued to defend at the hearing.
You say the child didn't turn out the way you wanted. How is that different from the doctor failing to diagnose your child with Down syndrome?
Zytex in this case is a sperm bank. It recruited the donor, it screened the donor, it advertised that it had a rigorous vetting procedure.
The hearing was held virtually. Justices lined up to listen as each side had 20 minutes to make their case. The family at the center of it all sat in their living room to watch.
Your resistance is alarming.
The justices seemed unsettled at the idea that if this case was dismissed as a wrongful birth claim, Zytex could do or say anything about the sperm it sold and never be held accountable.
Just to be clear what you're asserting, a sperm bank can completely misrepresent everything about the sperm it's selling and charge whatever amount of money based on those representations and completely lie to every customer it has, and nobody can do a thing about it.
Under the law as it stands, the answer is yes. Zytex's attorney pointed out to the justices that 10 judges before them had dismissed cases filed by other families.
Yeah.
But Wendy says that argument just doesn't fit. She loves her son. This isn't about wrongful birth. It's about changing an industry that allowed the donor to give sperm for more than a decade, leading to at least 36 children, all while using false, potentially life-altering information.
Knowledge is power, and knowledge is everything.
John used to act out violently, had suicidal thoughts, and even thought about harming others. Therapy has helped him work through that, but he still deals with severe depression every winter. He has started to visit colleges.
He's got goals. And the hard thing is the day you walk in when he's depressed and worried, is it happening? And says, this could derail all of my dreams for the future.
38 law professors from across the United States filed their own legal analysis with the court, asking justices to allow the Normans lawsuit and others like it to go to trial. In it, they argue exposing sperm banks to liability will give them a powerful incentive to exercise reasonable care in vetting donors and providing accurate information for their clients. It could take 6 months before we hear a decision.
Coming up.
My immune system really doesn't exist. So I'm afraid that if I get it, it will be a very bad situation for me.
How sheltering at home will help save her life.
For more on these investigations or to submit a tip to the Reveal team, text REVEAL to 404-873-9114 or email us at thereveal@11alive.com.
Welcome back to The Reveal. Virtually every state in the U.S. is lifting restrictions put in place to slow the spread of the COVID-19 virus. And now new cases are again going up. And that's a major concern to many people who feel their lives are now in more danger than ever before.
I feel like music is a very healing art. And that music moves me in a way that nothing else can.
For nearly 6 years, Ann Pinion says singing with the Atlanta Women's Choir has kept her alive. While performances are now virtual during the pandemic, it's been her saving grace ever since a doctor diagnosed her with stage 4 ovarian cancer in 2014.
It was shocking. It was shocking. You don't really know how serious it is until somebody says, we're going to work on saving your life. Be ready by 7:45.
Ann and her wife, Dara, eventually accepted cancer would likely take her life when chemotherapy stopped working. Ann thought she had years left. But then days after this interview in early March, her concern shifted from cancer to the coronavirus.
Today it is with great sadness that we have to report the state's first patient death from COVID-19.
My immune system really doesn't exist. And so I'm afraid that if I get it, it will be a very bad situation for me. But the thing that makes me most scared about that is being in the hospital alone with it.
To stop the spread, Governor Brian Kemp ordered Georgians to shelter in place on April 2nd, forcing many businesses to close.
Tomorrow, I will sign a statewide shelter-in-place order.
But 28 days later, Georgia would be one of the first states in the country to reopen its economy. Most people are now free to leave their homes, but not Ann and others with medically fragile conditions. Governor Kemp wants them to stay put.
So yeah, while the rest of the world's starting to sort of get back to some kind of normal-ish, we're far from that.
Ann feels the governor rushed the reopening. Thousands continue to test positive for COVID-19, putting her and others more at risk. Each time her family leaves home, Ann believes there's a chance of bringing the virus back with them.
But the more open it gets outside of my house, and the more the infection spreads outside of my house, the more it puts me at risk. And I don't want to be put in that category of, it's okay if we lose this part of the population. We still need to make some money and get big business going again. And it's weird to be in that expendable category.
Ann says she likely won't feel comfortable leaving home until there's a vaccine, which could take a year or more. That's time she'd rather spend with the women who gives her strength to fight cancer, now raising their voices virtually, this time to survive a potentially deadly virus.
I've been doing this for my whole life, really. And to think that now we're a year or two away from being able to be in a real chorus setting is so weird. And we are all truly feeling that disconnect right now.
And now the only time Annie leaves home is for chemotherapy treatments.
When we return, some thoughts on what sparked a global movement.
This is not the legacy of civil rights in America. This is chaos and we're buying into it. This won't change anything. We're no longer talking about the murder of an innocent man. We're talking about how you're burning police cars on the streets of Atlanta, Georgia.
Since the death of George Floyd, cities across America have boiled over, and the city of Atlanta was no exception. We all watched as peaceful demonstrations turned to violent riots and back again. Here's a look at how our city responded over the past 3 weeks.
I'm very angry, first and foremost, that this has to happen. And For a while, I was very confused on where I should focus that anger because I'm not a violent person. But right now, I'm feeling hopeful. Like, I'm happy to see that so many people came out, and I'm excited to be able to speak to them. Hopefully my voice will reach a lot of people, and I'll be able to provide some people that are confused or angry or feeling hopeless something to look forward to and something to believe in.
We agree with you. For what it's worth, we agree with you. We're outraged. We're hurt by this as well.
It's difficult. You don't know what it's like. I can't sleep because I don't know if it's going to be my dad, my brother, and my friend. It's difficult. And this police officer is getting away with it. And nobody's doing anything about it. The policies are not changing. And they're being sent back out there to protect us.
We're good.
This is not the legacy of civil rights in America. This is chaos, and we're buying into it. This won't change anything. We're no longer talking about the murder of an innocent man. We're talking about how you're burning police cars on the streets of Atlanta, Georgia. Go home.
Atlanta has been here for us. This city don't deserve it.
Atlanta is not perfect, but we're a lot better than we ever were, and we're a lot better than cities are. And it is the responsibility of us to make this better right now.
I've seen hurt, I've seen pain, I've seen anger, I've seen misunderstanding, I've seen just some answers. People want answers.
And I saw how they have tore up my city. My heart just really fell.
I'm never going to compare a Black life, or any life for that matter, to a building. We can't just tell people to go home and be quiet and be calm, because then that just covers up the issue that keeps coming back up every time we see Black people brutally murdered on camera in this country.
We hear a taser going off right now. We're not sure who's being tased. Just heard the officer say all you had to do was show your hands. You almost got shot.
I'm very shaken up. I don't even know how to act, what to do. I just can't stop thinking about if cameras weren't there, or if they would have went a little bit further. I can't stop thinking about what could have happened. Like, it's all that keeps crossing my mind.
Whatever you say. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Hey.
We say equality, if we say that all men are created equal, then we recognize historically we've always had to fight for that. We always had to validate that.
We rise like a phoenix out of the ashes that Atlanta has always done. Will we use this as a moment to say that we will not do what other cities have done, and in fact, we will get better than we've been?
Thanks for watching The Reveal, the nation's only weekly local investigative show in the country. We'll see you next week.
For more on these investigations, or to submit a tip to the Reveal team, text REVEAL to 404-873-9114 or email us at thereveal@11alive.com.